Buster, he sold the heat with a rock steady beat. An earthquake is erupting, but not in Orange Street. A ghost dance is preparing, you got to help us with your feet. If you're not in a mood to dance, step back, grab yourself a seat.
Welcome back to the NBA podcast, where we explore the side streets and rabbit holes around movies, books, and albums. This week, we look at Ska Pop phenomenon Madness's 1982 first best of album, Complete Madness, as well as their contribution to social and actual geological earthquakes across 47 years of music. Enjoy the podcast.
Good album, Thors. Good album.
Yes, great. So, they've got lots of best of albums. But I wanted to find their first best of album so that we could kind of imagine, so we could feel if this was 1982, this is what we'd be listening to, as opposed to some remastered 1998 version. So I thought, let me find that one. It doesn't have all my favorite songs I wanted you guys to listen to and to kind of comment on, but it's got the core ones there. And I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
It was like one of those bands that, like, I mean, I know so many of their songs, but I just never really kind of figured that it was Madness who sang them. So I'm like, geez, I don't even think I know any of their songs. And I put the album on. I'm like, oh, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one. And it was very cool. Yeah.
It's like a whole, just not even a generation, but multiple generations of stuff we just know. And I think in 1992 they re-released an album, and I think that's when I remember hearing Love Struck properly. Not Love Struck, what's it called? Must Be Love.
It must be love.
Yeah. And then I remember, like, in second year or third year varsity, I bought the heavy hits, which was their best of album that came out then. And like that was kind of my staple. But it's always kind of like, you can't be happy, you can't be unhappy or sad or stressed if you're driving in the car and you've put on a Madness album. It makes the day better.
But it's absolute chaos,
which is a pretty cool thing to say.
Yeah, no, it's absolute chaos. And I mean, like, I was looking now just before we started. So first singles out in 1979. That link Dave sent is the album they've just released now in November 2025. Okay, so this band is as old as us. You know, this band's as old as Stephen Wilson Jr. Yeah,
exactly. Its first hit was our year of birth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And maybe that's why some of the songs are so familiar, because I'm sure we would have been exposed to them even like at a subconscious, like just a developmental stage.
In utero.
In utero, yeah. And they've done 13 studio albums, 19 compilation albums, 4 live albums, 2 soundtrack albums, 3 extended plays, 4 box sets, 43 singles, and 37 music videos. I mean, 43 singles. Insane. That's almost a single released for every year they've been around for 47 years. Yeah. I mean, just awesome, it's mad. It's probably
madness.
Madness. Madness. And the fact that they're still going is just absolutely bananas. Dave, I'm surprised you aren't wearing a fez. I meant to buy myself a fez for this evening. I don't know if you've been able to watch any of their music videos or see their fans.
I've been watching.
I've got the fez is at my folks' place. It's in their dress-up box. I don't have one here. I'll have to get one.
I think definitely need a fez. I mean, like when you watch those music videos, it's just complete pandemonium.
I thought Devin would be being winched up above 40 foot off the ground with a saxophone.
It did cross my mind, but I don't have the science or the steady hands to pull off a procedure like that.
Yeah, my winch is at the shop. Yeah.
Not the winch shop. Not the winch shop.
But the music video for House of Fun is just bizarre. It's so great.
Yeah.
I never realized that song was about a 16-year-old boy going into because it was initially called the song was titled "The Chemist's Facade," and it's about for guys who don't know the song. It's about a guy going into a shop buying a condom, because 16 was the
For the
well,
first
I'm
time,
sure
yeah.
imagine still
Yeah,
is
yeah.
is like the legal age of consent. You can buy condoms, and he's in there, but he's using all these other names or like euphemisms for condoms.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's like this is not a party shop, you know.
Well, you got them there. What was the one? A
box of
box of
balloons.
balloons with a featherlight touch.
Yeah. Party poppers,
Party
party poppers that go
Party
off in the night.
poppers that pop.
Party
Yeah.
hats with coloured tips.
Yeah. Fantastic. But like the music for that and the music, well, both as standalone and together, it gives you like a bit of a Monty Python-esque feel. But also after reading like Roald Dahl's, some of Roald Dahl's stuff and Roald Dahl's childhood memories, especially Baggy Trousers, about like the headmasters and the teachers just getting themselves as much rum as possible during lunchtime before the horrible kids come back. It's got a kind of, it feels like that as well. It's got like a real texture.
But they are the three ladies that come in to the back of the chemist dancing. And I did read something where they mention Monty Python because it's like the Pepper Pots. You know, the ladies.
Oh, okay, yes.
Monty Python, they're called the Pepper Pots.
Old ladies are the Pepper Pots, yeah.
Old ladies. I think that is based on Python.
Okay.
The three ladies that come in, they got handkerchiefs wrapped around their head and they're dancing all over the show.
Okay,
I think there is definitely a Python, a wink a nod to Python there. A nudge and a wink.
A nudge and a wink.
A nudge and a wink to Python.
Yeah.
Did you read the quote, Dev, about one of the guitarists said about that song?
No.
He said he can't remember if it's about coming of age. Can't remember much about when it happened.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
I did read that.
You can buy a packet of fags, a pint of beer, and a 3-piece suit for £0.50 and still have enough to go and watch Rudolph Valentino.
And then he reckons he doesn't really get to see the pictures anymore these days. It's, he can't afford it, but apparently they've added sound now.
Yeah.
That's magical.
They sound beautiful.
No.
But they're almost like quintessentially British and just that kind of like, just even when we see the videos, just like not really giving a fuck and pulling the piss, but kind of doing something quite phenomenal while they're not taking themselves seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, incredible. Did anybody go into their background as to, because I see the one guy sort of, Suggs was saying they were learning music as they went along. But were any of them sort of classically trained, or they all just teach themselves, or?
From like the documentaries I was watching, what they were saying was like we were pretty much learning the instruments as we were doing it a bit. But the pianist sounds pretty like he knows what he's doing. But he says and like part of the reason why it's got that sound is simply because we didn't have the skill, and we were like overcompensating and figuring it out as we went, and that's what made it kind of fit. And they, like Suggs also said, he's like, and we had this really confident attitude, and we were like really kind of forward, but that was just because we were completely overcompensating for our self-perceived lack of talent, you know, where it's like carries right through to their resurgence at Madstock back in 1992, just that they didn't like realize what they had, but you know, it was working completely.
The one journalist from NMR, that's rock and roll or musical magazine, reckons, they said it's fascinating how they still sound as plinky plonky as Liberace falling down a million stairs with his grand piano as they did in 1982.
Wow.
Which I thought was a little bit harsh, but
the plinky plonky works. The plinky plonky works.
Yeah.
It's like that Ska Pop sound. It needs to be plinky plonky. The piano's got to be cheeky. It's got to be doing what it's doing. It's wonderful.
No, it's brilliant. It's a lot to listen on a hangover, though, I must say.
I
put it on this morning. I was just so fuck.
It's not Stephen Wilson.
Anxiety. What's happening?
It's not Stephen Wilson Jr.
I hope you didn't watch the music videos this morning when you're hanging.
No. I watched them this afternoon once there's a few drinks in already, so there's a lot more to do.
In fact, watching Stephen Wilson Jr. once hangover, that might push one over the edge as well.
Might push one completely over the edge. But the music's like almost carnival. Like the other song of theirs, like "Shut Up," you know, when like like it wasn't me. I'm just his mate. He told me to stand here and watch the gate. But that piano sounds like a Ferris wheel kind of carnival. It's just going up and down. Baggy trousers sounds like a carnival. And have you guys? It's not on the album, but have you heard driving? I don't know what the name of the song is. I like driving in my car. It sounds like a Looney Tunes.
I think it's called Driving in My Car. Yeah.
Apparently, is that the one that's on the album in the Aussie version of the greatest hits or something like that?
I think it's in all their other greatest hits albums. I think it came after, because I think this 1982 album was their hits from the first 3 studio albums. So I mean, you think they started in 1979? It's quite
cheeky to have 3 albums in 3 years.
Yeah, but this is what Suggs was saying, which is like why they kind of unofficially split up in '86 was they would release a single like every 3 months and an album like every year. So they were constantly in the charts, constantly innovating, and it wasn't. It was just kind of because. So like after 3 years, well, we've got 3 albums. Let's choose the best of the 3 albums. Here's our first greatest hit. And I mean, now we're sitting with 19 compilation albums. 47 years later, and they're all got the same songs. And like the one I almost gave you guys was, I don't know what year it came from because I was looking for that one I had in third year varsity and I couldn't find it online. But this other one has like 40 tracks on, and it's got songs I've never heard before, but all the favorites. But what's different is the more recent greatest hits, they start off with the, hey, you, that song, these are the heavy monster sound of madness, the One Step Beyond and Prince. It starts with they kind of start with those 2 songs and then they break into the rest of the set. Whereas this first album, those songs are kind of buried in the middle.
In the middle, But that's who they were basing it all on, wasn't it? Prince, what was his name?
Prince Buster.
Prince Buster. I listened to a little bit of his stuff the other day and it was, decent.
Good.
Yeah. It was good. I didn't listen to the whole album. He's
credited with being the guy that started ska as a genre.
Oh, really?
So I think I never knew that until doing this episode, because on that heavy hits, the first songs are One Step Beyond and Buster. He stole the heat with the rock steady beat, and I never really enjoyed them that much because I was buying it for the popular songs. But the more I've gotten into madness, those 2 songs are now becoming more and more my favorite. And I never realized that Prince Buster it's pretty much their origin story. It's like the musicology of where they came from. Like an earthquake is erupting, but not an orange street.
Orange Street.
Yeah. And that's wild because Prince Buster was born in Orange Street in Jamaica, and he had an album called Orange Street. And he had a hit song called Earthquake, which came off his album Orange Street. But it was also a reference to this youth movement in the UK where there was a earthquake erupting. So like the more you dig into that song, it's just like, oh my God, this is like a Dan Brown novel. This song from 1979, it's just layers and layers and layers.
Isn't one of them a cover? Is that one not a cover of
One Step Beyond? One Step Beyond is the cover.
There's One Step Beyond the cover. Okay.
And Madness, the song Madness is a cover.
That's beg your pardon. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, beg your pardon. Sorry, that's the cover, not this one. This is more of a story about Buster.
Yeah, which is very, very cool. I really enjoyed it.
Must Be Love is also a cover.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't the original song.
It was all written for them, one or the other. The rest are all written by them. So I don't know if it's a cover per se or they had outside writers, one or the other. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll have to give a listen. But interesting, because I also remember that song from the Castle Lager advert.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Okay, there we go.
It wasn't the one it wasn't the cricket one, was it? No.
It was either cricket or rugby, or it was. I'm sure it's.
Well, somewhere in the break, we'll have to quickly look it up.
Yeah. I tried to find it, but I actually couldn't find any information on it. But I'm dead certain it was a
Castle Lager one. Very
Castle
cool.
Lager advert. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, it can be a stretch assignment for the listeners.
Yes. Yeah. Get out there, kids.
It's time they can do some bloody work.
First one wins a lollipop. It's hidden in the phone booth.
Oh man. Oh, awful. for.
Come get it hand delivered.
So what I didn't realize was, when I was watching the one documentary, and which, like, unfairly to you guys, when I was deciding on the album, I put a documentary on the YouTube like a month ago, whatever the story was, 2-3 weeks ago, to watch it, and they were talking about how they were talking about the backdrop of the racial tension in the UK at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And they were talking about there was the economic austerity, there was just issues.
Pre-Thatcher, hey?
Yeah, pre-Thatcher, or just when Thatcher started, and there was this general disenchantment, and it was the start of kind of right-wing nationalism. And they were talking about how, they had this skinhead followers who enjoyed the music. And what I didn't realize when they were saying that, and what I put to you guys on the WhatsApp group, was that skinhead as a subculture was never racist, far-right, Nazi. It
started before.
Yeah, it started before, and it grew out of the mod subculture, and it grew up because you had that first wave of Caribbean immigrants coming back to help support the post-war economy, and you had these working class English natives living in the same suburbs and neighborhoods as these working class people who'd come in from the Caribbean, and the cultures merged and fused. So the entire the origins of skinhead were multiracialism, unity built around ska and reggae music. And it was only then in the 70s where the schism started happening, and some of the group became racialized and started sekhailing during concerts. Things started happening. Because there was like a group called SHARP, SHARP, Skinheads Against Racism. So when I was watching this documentary, I was like, oh, but we're talking about anti-racism, but you see all these skinheads in the crowd with all like the mods and the rude boys and rude girls. Yeah. And it's like, oh, there's going to be trouble. But it's like, no, those are like original skinheads who are all about ska, working class culture, and unity and multiracialism, which is wild. I never realized that.
Yeah, no, that's completely different to what I would have thought. But where did the skinhead side of it? What made them shave their pips just to identify each other, or?
I'm not sure if it was to identify, but I think it was more to embrace the working class culture. So, again, I'm no expert. This is what I've read while listening to the album. Is that they took like mod fashion and cultural sensibility, and they just made it harder and adopted like more working class elements. So that's where Dr. Martens shoes became a thing for the first time. They didn't call them Doc Martens; they were called Dr. Martens, but they're dressed a little bit more industrially. And I think the short cropped haircut comes with a more industrial, practical approach to working class life. Yeah,
because you're working in a factory, short hair, and also cheaper.
Yeah. So it speaks about how you've got the Caribbean rude boys and rude girl, which is like a sharp dressing, was a Jamaican-based counterculture, anti-authority kind of a youth generation movement, mixing completely with this skinhead UK anti-society, and they were talking about they were rejecting not just the economic circumstances, because their music, a lot of the songs are about like social issues, but they were also rejecting the hippie movement. They were rejecting this music that was all about love and peace and was getting too flowery. And too bizarre. So that they were moving to this really kind of syncopated, bass-driven Jamaican Caribbean sound. And I read an article in The Spectator, and he's like, the Beatles began with "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and by the time this is all happening, the Beatles had moved to "I Want to Do Lots of Drugs." And then it talks about like Tommy, and then you've got the song Tommy, which is about a deaf, dumb, and blind kid who's been potentially physically and sexually molested by his uncle, and that's like the other hit song you've got a choice to listen to. So it's like, this group was like, no, fuck that. We're going to go with this sound. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. But then like final thing on this was then like even after the schism, the guys that went right wing and racist still held on to enjoying ska and reggae music, which is a complete contradiction to their new kind of ideology, because they were like white supremacists. There can't be any cultural artifacts of value from people who aren't white. But then they would still rock up at the concerts because they still dug the music, which is where then the shit came from.
And was there major? Were there major riots and things like that, or?
Yeah, I think there was the Brixton riots were. I don't know when those were, but I think that was based around the police were allowed to search anyone. Huh?
I just meant with their concerts. Sorry, yeah.
I don't know, but I think there was issue because there was a whole lot of stuff. There were movements like Rock and Roll Against Racism. There were bands coming together to like be about unity and against racism. And then that first music label they signed or had a single release to, Two Tone, was a label that was just about ska music, and Two Tone was talking about the two colors coming together, really. And that
actually became the movement. So that the name of the album became the movement, didn't it? Two Tone. That they actually called that the whole genre almost.
Yeah, this is the second wave of ska is called Two Tone after the record.
Yeah. Who's it? Other band? The Specials. I think
the
Specials.
So the guy from the Specials started Two Tone. And I read an article, and it was on the documentary where Suggs says they went to go watch this gig, and they were in the basement of this club, and there's this band who was like, it's like, my God, it's us. Like, who are these guys on stage? Because they are us.
Yeah.
And like he says, at like 3 a.m, he was talking to the guy from the Specials. I forget his name. Who started Two Tone, and he said,
Jerry Dahmer or something.
Yes, yeah. And it was like, Suggs, I'm going to start my own like label, like a British Motown just for ska music. And like Suggs was like, dude, you just played to 12 people in the basement of a pub. How's this going to go?
It was somebody's garden, wasn't it? Somebody's garden.
I'm not sure.
Somebody's back garden. Yeah.
But then Suggs drops, like, the only reason they were still there at 3 was because this guy from the Specials had lost his teeth. And back in those days, you couldn't afford like a hotel or anything else if you'd missed the train. So you had to pull. Yeah. So you had to come and pull a bird. And then Suggs corrects himself. I'm so sorry, you can't say that. You had to meet a nice young woman to make sure you had a place to stay. So that's how he got stuck. Because he's like, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. The guy's got no front teeth, and there was no ways he was going to pull.
So he woke up on his mom's couch.
Yeah.
On Suggs' mom's couch.
Yes, That's crazy. So like, not much has changed. Yeah?
So
did you?
Some journalist described the Specials as Madness's older, more responsible brother.
Did you watch that music video I sent you, Rudy? Okay, you must. But no, it's also a 1979 release, and again, it must have been something we heard when we were in the pram, because it's so familiar, and it's so awkward as well, just watching, because the way the ska characters dance, it's just so syncopated, but it's so much fun. Like, you just want to watch it. I just want to move my body the way they move their bodies, because it's not cool, but it's beyond cool. It's just amazing.
Is it white guys trying to dance like Caribbean?
The Specials were mixed race, and what's bizarre is, and this comes back to our Frank Farian discussion, is Madness were the only band on Two Tone that were all white. You know, they were completely white, English, British band, but they became the biggest member of this movement, the one we're talking about and celebrating 47 years later. But they could still be authentic in it, which like speaks to ska and speaks to what was happening in the UK at that time. They weren't necessarily appropriating the music. It was something that was happening with
a cultural movement, and they were part of it.
Yeah, there was a melting pot happening in England, and it took off, which is just, I find that fascinating, the way these things come from little historic movement.
Incredible, hey? Yeah. To think of North London suddenly having this Caribbean culture. It's pretty incredible.
I think very, very cool. They call it the Windrush generation, the name of the ship that brought the first Caribbean workers across.
Okay.
Really? And on the first ship, apparently there were a couple of musicians, famous Caribbean calypso musicians, and there's a story that the news cameras were there when they got off the ship, and this guy came down. His stage name was Lord Kitchener, but he's
Oh,
a
nice.
Jamaican calypso artist,
Yeah.
and he sang a song in front of the camera, like without missing a beat, about how wonderful and amazing London is. So like that's kind of the
Oh, wow.
start of this movement of this thing coming.
That's
to England.
amazing.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
the
I
Romanian.
geeked out a bit. Sorry, guys.
No, that's very cool.
No,
I love
no,
it.
I love
I'm glad
it.
you got onto that. From my recollection of writing my British citizenship test and all that, I think a lot of the Caribbean folk were brought across as the bus to drive the buses, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, okay.
So that was there. So they brought in an India. There's a huge amount of Indian population encouraged to come in as well, and I can't remember what they were sort of pushed towards, but the Caribbean, a lot of the Caribbean men were brought across and trained as bus drivers. It was something that the UK was short of. Yeah.
Okay. Because in Harry Potter, when they go in that triple decker bus, when they're in between, the driver's Caribbean, and there's kind of voodoo. What's it called? Yeah.
He's got those. He's like that shrunken head.
Yes. Yeah. And there's like Caribbean voodoo vibes happening with the bus driver.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
I mean, it's part of the life in Britain test. Is why were people from the Caribbean brought across, and part of it was to drive the buses.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, not sure. I suppose a whole generation of men had been wiped out.
And
obviously
there was the post-war labour shortage.
And obviously didn't want to give women the keys to the bus yet.
No.
No.
But like also like when they sing that line, an earthquake is erupting, but not an orange street. It's like every Caribbean island has an orange street or an orange avenue, and I think a lot of them down in the Indonesian area, a lot of the islands, and it's all because of Dutch colonialism. So if you go to Google Maps and search Orange Street, it's going to give you 1,000 cities,
400,
and the majority of them are going to be Caribbean islands or Indonesian islands.
Incredible, just because of the Dutch.
Yeah.
Ah, look at that.
So that's very interesting, because you know that song that they write, "Waiting for the Ghost Train."
Yes, yeah. That's quite a dark one. It's like
it's very dark, and that was based on it's like social commentary for apartheid in South Africa.
Okay, interesting.
And one of the lines there is the station master's writing with a piece of orange chalk, 100 cancellations, still no one wants to talk. And again, the orange chalk is in reference to the South African flag at the time.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. I didn't realize that. But that's interesting, though, because Eddie Grant is if you look at like the charts from that time,
yes,
Eddie Grant is a contemporary, and he had all that "Give Me Hope, Joanna."
Give Me Hope, Joanna.
Yeah.
And
Johanna was Johannesburg. Hey?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I Don't Want to Dance was also about, what was it? That was also was a social commentary, which I've completely forgotten right now. But that was released in 1982 when they released their best of album. Yep. That was something else that was on the radio at the time. But also was "Come On Eileen" and "Ebony and Ivory," which is like also about
Grease on Travolta.
Yeah. "Come On Eileen," and then like "Ebony and Ivory," which is a bit of a less fun way to sing about racial unity, but still there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about Orange Street quickly. It's got nothing to do with Orange Street other than I got taken on a trip up to, well, not taken, but
to phone booth.
Yeah, that was a trip, to tell you that. Yeah. I got invited with some Kiwis to go to Amsterdam, probably 2004, something like that, maybe 2005. And when we were on the plane, we were on a Ryanair flight across there. And Ryanair had orange headrests and that. And everyone said, "Have you got anything orange?" And I had no idea what they were on about. So I said, "No, why?" I said, "No, well, it's the national color and we're going there." Yeah. Have we spoken about this before?
No, I'm precogging you.
Shit.
I'm syncing with you.
There we go.
Sorry.
How dare you precog me without my permission?
Just a little precog.
Give him a good cogging.
Even a post-cog.
Any cog will do right now.
Any cog will do.
Sorry,
That's
Dave,
from
you
Joseph,
have the conch.
Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dream Cog. Yeah. Any cog will do. Any clog will do. There we go. We're on Dutch.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go. We're
Anyway,
back, baby.
and we're back. So I wasn't quite sure what they were on about. And then we obviously got pissed that night. And I woke up in the morning and this music was pumping, sort of 7:30 in the morning. I thought, what the fuck's going on here? And I look out the hostel window and there's just a sea of orange. It's the world's biggest, I'm sure you guys, it was the second biggest street party in the world.
The whole country is celebrating the Queen.
Yes, I've seen that.
Throne, yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere is a party for the day.
But it's something like 1 million or 1.5 million people on the streets of Amsterdam, all wearing orange, barges up and down the Amstel River with massive speakers and DJs, and there's parades, and it is just, it's chaos. It was, it was an eye opener when you look at it and you go, "What are you on about? We are at a street party. I've been to the Umhlanga Festival.
Sure. I've been to the ski boat.
I've been to the ski boat thing.
Club, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Awesome.
street parties. What do you guys got? Oh, you got 1.5 million people wearing orange. Anyway,
It's quite impressive.
that was my orange street. That, as you said, orange street. That's what it reminded me of.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I suppose you don't go and name orange streets in every country in the world just for laughs. You got to be taking it seriously. If you're not doing it at home, why are you going to be doing it in South Africa and Jamaica and Trinidad, Tobago, everywhere else? Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very.
Yeah, man. A quick link to the Beatles.
Yeah.
Did you? I just saw a quick had a quick speed through Jonathan Wass interview with Madness.
Okay.
And he their last album, which must come out last year, the same guy that did the Sgt. Pepper album cover, Peter Blake.
Is that why it's so familiar? The Hit Parade cover.
Well, I don't know, but the guy says, you know how intricate the Sgt. Pepper album cover was? And he says, and then you get ours. It's just, they came up with a whole lot. And he said, if you guys don't give me some ideas or come up with a name for the album, I'm just going to do something in crayon. So all the album cover is discarded album names crossed out in crayon.
That's amazing.
He's like, you get Sgt. Pepper and you get what he did for us, which is a whole lot of words crossed out with crayon. So there's a Beatles link.
Very, very cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you see where they kind of like started, not started their career, but where they started like really playing and getting a following in Camden? That's at a place called
the Dublin
Castle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a residency, like a Friday night residency gig kind of story.
Yes, yeah. And they had a whole bunch of other people that obviously came through that spot, and it became quite like a. If you wanted to make it in London, like you basically needed to be playing at the Dublin Castle.
Oh wow! Okay.
Kind of like a
rite of passage.
Which was similar to I don't know if you ever watched the movie CBGB. So it was actually with Alan Rickman. It's great.
Okay.
About a bar in New York in the Bowery called CBGB. It was Country Blues, Grass Blues.
Okay.
And same story. It was it was kind of like almost like the launch of like rock and roll in the States, and all these like unknown people at the time were coming to play there, and it became like this place, which I imagine the Dublin Castle is like, where like people were like dying to get into kind of like launch their careers there, and like they would start sending like scouts over there to go check out the bands that were playing, and guys at CBGB, it was like, I think it was Blondie, Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, like all these guys back in the day before they were well known, all went and played through there.
Okay.
And I think Blur played at the Dublin Castle. Amy Winehouse used to play there. She used to serve drinks there.
Yeah.
So it looks like quite a cool spot, and like a rite of passage if you're looking to make it in the scene there.
That would be a good place to go pay homage.
Yeah,
have a pint or two there. Yeah. Did you guys see about Madstock, like their resurgence?
Yes. Super interesting.
I read briefly about it.
So in 1986, they kind of unofficially kind of split up and took a break, and because of kind of that pace we were talking about, they were just churning out singles, churning out albums. And then I think in 1992 they released a new compilation album called Divine Madness, which is probably, that's where Must Be Love became like a chart topper on the radio, and where I think I must have heard it to eventually buy the album in 98. But they were talking about having a concert to launch the album. And there's beautiful long format documentaries and long format written articles about it. And you're inside the heads of the band who we haven't played together for 8 years. The one guy's like, I was just always waiting for the band to get back together. I knew it was going to happen. The other guy's like, fuck, my house is mortgaged. The bank's about to foreclose. I just need anything that can happen. And other ones are like, we don't want to sully the name, because if we go back now, we might just let people down. And all of them had this sense of, no one's really going to be that interested. It's been 8 years. And it would probably make a beautiful movie, because it turns into this monstrous event, because then they also interview fans who were around at that time. And you have all these fan stories of like, I thought I was the only Madness fan, and I still had the poster from when I saw them for the last time in '86. And, I thought, let me walk to the venue. And you have all these stories of people, must kind of be like a Queen's Day vibe, of heading towards the venue, and every pub, every street they walk past, there's just Madness, people singing Madness, just these voices coming out of buildings, and 36,000 people in Madness t-shirts. So you had all these people who thought they were completely alone, and rocking up, and there's just an army of like-minded people who've waited 8 years for this moment. And there's 3 generations of people. There's grandparents, parents, and children. It must have been amazing.
That must be very, very cool.
And the band had no idea what to expect either. The band went to Holland to practice, to keep their heads straight, so they wouldn't be distracted about, is there a buzz, is there no buzz?
They went to Holland to keep their heads straight.
Yeah. I think the one guy got stoned and then he went to take the weed out his pocket and got stopped at the airport on the way back in.
I was going to say, there needs some control in their planning process here.
Yeah.
Apparently the crowd did it, because so Morrissey played at Madstock as well. And apparently they flipping the first time he played it, they booed him off, and they were throwing shit at the bottles and stuff at the stage.
Okay.
Yeah, and he eventually walked off.
Yeah. And then when Madness walks on, they say they walked onto stage, and then the band didn't know what to do. So Suggs was like, well, let's just be quiet. And they stood on the stage for, I think, a few minutes, and the crowd just went insane. And I think you got the story of how this is now internalizing and charging these 7 men up, and it just goes wild. And that line from an earthquake is erupting is kind of prescient, because did you read this? The dancing of the crowd, because the crowd was all dancing, it measured 4.5 on the Richter scale. Yeah. There were people calling the police that night asking, is there an earthquake?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's a water table under Finsbury Park, and the one I don't know what song it was, but everybody was doing the Ska dance. Yeah, just like when an army marches on a bridge, and the harmonic resonance of the dance steps of 36,000 people bouncing up and down got the water table, created a wave on the water table, which then had the momentum.
Oh my word!
And they say that the people were calling the police, saying tower blocks are wobbling and people's furniture was vibrating itself across the floors. Unbelievable.
Awesome.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Pictures are falling off walls, and blocks are flats, and windows are cracking.
That's incredible, hey?
Yeah.
No, that's your comeback.
Yeah, and they didn't. And then they didn't know. They had no idea. They were like, maybe this will be our official goodbye, because we never did an official goodbye. And now they've done it. I think they've done it for the last 30 years. This was 30 years ago, 33 years ago. And I think they do it every 2 years.
What, Madstock,
or some kind of live performance, yeah.
Okay.
So
music that literally shook the world, huh?
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask Dev, because obviously he knows Taylor so well. Didn't they measure her one of her concerts on her recent tour? They measured the what do you call it? The earthquake thing. They measured the
Richter scale.
Richter scale, because it set a record.
Okay.
It's something crazy at one of the either one of the UK events or
Okay.
a big stadium
And
or a big
was it
football
from
stadium in the
was
States.
it from the people dancing or was it from the music? Okay,
People dancing. People dancing.
Jeez.
Yeah, at a Tay concert. I stand to be
That's
corrected.
mad.
You can edit this entire story
Must
out.
have been
if it's
shaken
wrong.
off, eh?
Must have been. Dave, I don't know. Dave, you would know.
Must be love.
Yeah.
Must be love.
Must be love. Oh, Tay.
Just this will take a moment.
The one that got away.
The one that got away.
Okay, here's the song, guys, in case you need to know it. If you need to get the Finsbury water table creating a harmonic wave, One Step Beyond. One Step Beyond was the song that did it.
That was that one.
And you know how they worked? They worked it out because they had the same playlist on both nights, and they started 20 minutes earlier or later on the second day, and they could measure the Richter scale again the next day, and they could see it in timeline of the set list. It was like, yeah. So it can only be that song because that's the time that song was playing. That's wild. I like that.
That's very cool. That's an awesome story.
Yeah, it's like it's like Cool Runnings, but even better.
So so if you think of, they've got that little piece of music trivia history, which is awesome. Like we created an earthquake in Finsbury Park in North London.
Yeah.
They played the closing ceremony of the 2012 Olympics.
Did they?
And they played on the roof. And they played on the roof of Buckingham Palace for the Queen's Jubilee the same year.
Jubilee,
yeah. I think I sent you that video.
Do you know how they ended up on the roof?
I did hear the story. Tell me again. There was no space on the stage.
They said beers were on the house.
Yeah. Oh, nice, Dave.
On
nice.
one's house. The beers are on one's house.
On one's house.
Yeah.
No, it was because they had Elton John and Paul McCartney were also performing. And apparently, apparently the story is they didn't want to share a piano. It's like Elton John's sound team were like, this is our sound stage, our equipment. So there was big issues with scheduling sound checks and setting stuff up because I think it was Paul McCartney, but definitely Elton John. They didn't want to share a piano. So there was no wiggle room on the stage to change acts because it had to be completely separate. And so Madness got kind of shifted onto the roof, which turned out to be an utter coup. You know?
I know. I don't think anybody else played on the roof. I think it was just them.
It was just them. And there's a documentary. The documentary I watched when I was making my decision for this album. And Suggs says, we're up there and we're singing, and the snipers are lying with their rifles and their scopes in between our feet. Because that roof was just full of snipers and security.
That's awesome.
So he says they're up there singing Our House, and the snipers are lying on the floor around them. I mean,
that is wicked.
It's legendary. I mean, it's really, really cool.
I mean, those are three pretty incredible. So in 1 year to do the Olympics and the Queen's Jubilee, and then the earthquake. I mean,
and an earthquake, and a new album this year, and touring this year, and
45 years. It's just. It's I mean, if you don't know much about
it's insane longevity.
The longevity, but also three pretty wicked things to do. You know, you could say whatever, you name any other band, and they go, oh well, I sold 10 million albums. Like, don't care. Did you start an earthquake, chap? Did you play on the Queen's roof? No.
Yeah, because you two,
the back of the bus.
You two had that music video on the roof that was cool, but now it's completely surpassed. It's no, sorry. It's not Buckingham Palace.
Not Buck Palace. Yeah, it's just a random roof. And the Beatles played on the roof as well, didn't they?
I don't know.
The Beatles played on the roof as well, I think. Can't remember.
I didn't realize that.
But not on the roof of Buckingham Palace.
Oh, no. On a random roof.
Random office flipping roof.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think I've broken YouTube Music's algorithm because I listened to Stephen Wilson Jr. for 2 months straight. And I shifted, I shifted from Stephen Wilson Jr. to Only Madness for the last month. So this is just
that'll fuck with
there's a data scientist being fired at the moment. This is somewhere in America, and a whole team being retrenched because there's an anomaly now in the matrix, and everything's broken.
There's somebody going, people who listen to your music also listen to Fuck We Have No Idea.
Maybe we should have a joint concert.
We have no idea where you're going with this, dude.
We need some rude boys and some skinheads and some blue collar America. Make a whole new movement. Ska country ska.
Stephen Wilson Jr. opening up for madness.
Yeah, for madness.
Wow.
God, imagine the chat. Such a
full of snakes. Need more poison. Our house full of snakes. devils, snakes.
Do you want a feather light for that snake? Got a party hat for that snake?
There we go. I just got a red big lighter in my blue jeans. I got a red party hat.
What do you mean you got a red big lighter?
Oh, man. That accent you put on, I'm going to send you guys a link for a song that came up in my madness journeys. And I started watching the music video today. It's got a guest singer in it, but it's called Drip Fed Freddy. And it's this
I saw that.
Wow, it's just this most bizarre story, like assassins, gentlemen thieves, and ladies in the crowd, and they come to pay their respects to this dead or dying gangster. And it's just
awesome.
It's like a Guy Ritchie movie, but they had a love child with a madness song. It is just it's something we need to sit together and drink a good whiskey over. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. or write or take from the music video and write a feature film based on it.
Yes, write the long format.
Yeah.
Drip Fed Fred. Yeah. We want Freddy for our leader. Freddy is a man of class.
That sounds like a rugby drinking song.
Yeah.
Like a tree standing by the water.
Yeah.
He shall not be moved.
Yeah. No, it's like that.
That's how Suggs got his name. So I mean, he was I think his name's Graham McPherson. So he basically took a pin in this list of jazz names and just dropped it, and it landed on, I can't remember the guy's surname is Suggs, some famous jazz musician.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he would walk around. He used to go write on walls and in books and shit that Suggs is our leader, and he wouldn't respond to anyone unless they called him Suggs, and people would see Suggs is our leader. Suggs is our leader.
Wicked.
And that's how he created his own persona.
Oh, brilliant!
That's nice.
And then
like that poster he defaced that you shared with us.
Yeah, with Michael McIntyre.
Yeah. Drawing a bus stop Willie on Michael McIntyre.
That's not your poster. What do you mean?
Yeah. So
the bus stop Willie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Very, very good stuff. Yeah, I know. Lots
did
of
anybody pick up the link to a previous episode? I think I even sent you the interview. Who did he share? Who did they share the change room, the backstage dressing room with?
Oh, Paddington Bear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Nice.
At the Jubilee, they shared the dressing room with Paddington Bear.
No, amazing. Absolutely
I've done some things in my time, and I thought I'd gone back 20 years and I'd taken some pills by mistake. I really in a dressing room with Paddington Bear.
Oh, that's very cool.
And they were trying to get a Christmas #1, and Paddington was also on the. Paddington was 6-1 to win the Christmas #1 2 years ago. And
my gosh, guys,
Madness were up there as well.
Okay.
Can I tell you a story? You just lined me up perfectly here, Dave, about Christmas specials.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2009,
Sicily 2009.
Sicily 2009. There was this campaign. There was this campaign basically to stop the dominance of X Factor winners from getting these Christmas #1 specials every year.
This, yeah.
So there was basically this campaign, and then everyone voted for Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name.
Oh wow!
That won won Song of the Year Christmas special in 2009. Then in 2010, they tried to do the same thing to, I think the X Factor winner was Joe McElderry, and basically they wanted to make sure that he wouldn't win the Christmas number one special.
Yeah.
So they started another campaign called Cage Against the Machine, and all these artists got together. But we talking like big names. I'm trying to find out. Just give me 1 second. Do you remember who they were, Dave?
No, I remember the 2009 one, and I remember Simon Cowell being so pissed off. He called it childish because he'd won it like 6 years in a row. And,
he
just just so pissed off. So no, I remember Rage Against the Machine winning it. It was epic.
So that was 2009. 2010, Pete Doherty, Billy Bragg, The Kooks, Imogen Heap, and Madness all going to get together to record a song for the Christmas special.
Okay.
But they were going to use John Cage's infamous 433, which is a composition of silence.
Okay.
So they recorded 4 minutes and 33 seconds of a song in complete silence. So they didn't play an instrument.
Yes,
there was nothing except.
But Madness was part of the silence.
Some ambience. Yes, Madness was part of it.
They were in studio being quiet.
They were in studio all together and not saying anything. Exactly. You can feel the energy. Unfortunately, I think that they came in 15th for the year. So they still missed out on the Christmas special.
Okay.
But this then led me on to Nick Cage Against the Machine, because this project was called Cage Against the Machine. And then I stumbled upon Nick Cage Against the Machine.
Okay.
Are you
Nick
familiar
Cage,
with Nick Cage Against the Machine?
No, but you had me at Nick Cage.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking Nick Cave. Nick Cave's the Aussie singer.
No, Nick Cage. So there's a tribute band. It's a tribute band to Rage Against the Machine, and the frontman dresses up and acts like Nick Cage. It is one of the most glorious things I have ever seen in my entire life. He starts his set. He walks up in a suit, and he's got like a telephone with him, and it's Neo's speech at the end of the Matrix when he says, "I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see: a world without you, a world without rules." And does
he sound like Nick Cage? So is he doing an impersonation? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and apparently he does so I've only managed to find like these small little like video phone clips on YouTube, but apparently he does like in between songs, he'll do skits from like Con Air and from Wicker Man.
It sounds amazing.
I don't know what the Matrix is doing in there, but it works. Next thing that this oak is, he's got his pants off, he's in his underwear, and he's just screaming into the mic. It is glorious. I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Please do.
Look forward to it.
That sounds really good.
Creating his whole new genre there.
Very, very cool.
Oh, God. Yeah. So we linked them to Paddington. Every episode, we got to link them back to something. Yeah, that was the only link I could find, I think.
Yeah, I didn't have time to look for sausages or giant squids.
No. I didn't get around to that. An interesting non-linear link. You mentioned that same year, Come On Eileen came out, or around about the same time. So Dexy's Midnight Runners. So the producer of that album, Clive Langer, also produced the Madnesses, a lot of the Madnesses albums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dexy
did
were
Bush,
part of.
Did Morrissey?
Okay. Weren't Dexy part of Two-Tone?
No, I don't think so.
No.
It was the specials, and I don't think it was Dexy's Midnight Runners.
They mentioned. Oh no, he mentioned. Sorry, Suggs mentions them in an interview, and he says these guys were coming through at the time, and it's Dexy, Midnight Runners, and a few others. Cut.
No, it's all good. All good. Don't stress. But yeah, you must watch that video from the specials that I sent you guys, Rudy. It's just.
Sorry, I don't know how I missed that.
there's something about it which is just, it wasn't today, it was a couple of days ago, but it's just, there's something about it that is just so, it catches that the whole spirit. It's like not a madness song, but it captures that vibe for me. It's just.
Okay, I'm looking here. It's the specials, the selector madness, the beat, body snatchers. Yeah. Nah. Not Dixie.
Okay.
Yeah. Elvis Costello, though.
Yeah. They were quite involved with. They did one or two things with Costello, I think.
Their second record label, Costello, was with them, so they went from Two Tone to Stiff Records, I think, and then Stiff Records is where they took off, and Elvis Costello was a part of that, and that's where they moved from. So there was a couple names we know with Stiff Records, yeah.
I looked into, obviously, listening to all this, and you hear the sax in the background. And I was just looking this afternoon about how many 80s bands had the saxophone in.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Yeah. You think about it, let's just go back.
Smooth Operator is just saxophone.
Oh man, the E Street Band, Springsteen, everybody had a flipping sax in it. I pulled up a list, but it's something like 30 bands had a saxophone in, and then literally the 90s came, no more sax. And
the saxophone and the brass section in a ska band are very different to the pop or the rhythm and blue bands. So if you think about like Springbok, if you think like Springbok Nude Girls, where they've got their ska influenced syncopated songs like "What Would You Do If I Said I Love You," and you think about Boo, that's also got kind of a lot of. They call themselves monkey punk. It's their own genre, but it's like ska and punk, and then they've got a serious brass section there as well. That it's got a different energy to a lot of like Smooth Operator saxophones. Like, well, I'm a little bit sad and I'm going to have a drink and maybe I'll cry. But whereas like Madness, Nude Girls, and Boo, it's like you can't be sad or unhappy when you hear their brass section. You know, it's like just bring it. It's different.
I'll have to re-listen.
It's not Kenny G.
Boo. No, this guy,
definitely not.
This guy. One article I read in the Guardian blames it on Kenny G. He says the sax was so big in every rock band and every pop band, everybody had a flipping saxophonist, and Bowie was playing sax on his own and all that. And he said when Kenny G came along, he made it uncool. So he blames Kenny for the whole lot.
Shame.
But I was looking up, it reminded me of the story of Clarence Clemens, who played for the E Street Band from 72 up until he died in 2011 or something. He was a 6'3" big African-American guy who played for Springsteen.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool story about how Springsteen tells it how they met. And Clarence tells the same story. And he reckons it's this windy night and he knows Springsteen is playing at a pub somewhere I think it's in New York or on Long Island or one of the two. Yeah. So Clarence walks down, a massive dude. They called him the big guy, or the big man.
I can picture him.
Yeah. When I watched Springsteen in Joburg, his nephew was playing because Clarence had died a few years before. Now his nephew's the saxophonist for the E Street Band. But Clarence was a football star, broke his leg or something like that, had a car smash. We were talking about this the other day.
Yes,
how that led him onto music. And but anyway, so he walks down the road and it's this windy night and he opens the door to this bar and Springsteen is just sort of jamming, waiting for the crowd to fill in this pub. And as he opens the door, the wind hits the door and blows it off his hinges and the door goes flying down the street. In the dust and wind and that, there's this massive 6'3" dude, African-American guy standing there, and he just says, I want to play in your band. And Springsteen says, man, you can do whatever you want.
One step beyond.
Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening. Join us next time where, hopefully, we'll be discussing Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, the 1964 black comedy co-written, produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick. Until next time.
As soon as I wake up, every night, every day, I know that it's you I need to take the blues away. It must be love.